Cheers and welcome to Bitter Reality Brewing. Yeah, one of the most underappreciated beer styles. Yeah, underappreciated. So, what is the beer style? Maybe I shouldn't tell you right off the bat. It was called Bière de Saison, or beer of the season, which, yeah, you probably caught it. Saison, or Belgian Saison, or Farmhouse Ale, or any of those. And I'm not gonna like teach you everything about it. I doubt even the facts are factual. There's probably just, you know, hey, this is what we think, this is what we heard, according to Wikipedia, things like that I've seen. But Belgian Saison, why is it so underappreciated? We're gonna get into that before I even tell you anything else about the beer. Well, if you like things like Boulevard Tank 7, that's a Saison. Freaking awesome. You like things like a nice Abbey Ale, it's not a Saison, but it has Belgian yeast and usually has some of the same phenols and aromatics and spices and things that really make a Saison a Saison. Or, I don't know if you've seen this, and this is one of those, I guess you can say it's commercialized, but I buy it every year, and I'm not a big ABV fan. I don't like really high ABV, but if you like a Belgian triple, yeah, Mary Munker, I think it's 10%, but it's got cranberry, it's got orange peel, cinnamon, nutmeg, and it tastes amazing. It's not a Saison, but it's got some of the same stuff going on. And that's really where I'm going here is if you like kind of, I won't say in your face, but a lot of character in a beer. And I mean, lots of character. If you've ever had a Blue Moon is a wit beer, which is about 50% wheat, usually Pilsner, but it has things like coriander. It has usually either, and I don't remember on Blue Moon specifically, but on a wit beer, has either a kind of a bitter orange or a sweet orange or a little bit of both peels. The key here is that it's also a Belgian type yeast that really has lots of spices going on. And I'm talking like peppercorns and black pepper and spice, not talking about things like clove. That's more for your Hefeweizen. So first, who else? Oh man, you want to know what a Saison is? Right there, Saison Dupont. That is like the go-to. And then you have things like, yeah, Jolly Pumpkin, has nothing to do with pumpkin. Artisan ales, oh, really, really good. Usually a little smoother too. If you're not really into them yet, you're kind of learning a little bit about Saisons or Farmhouse Ales, words are almost interchangeable. This one is the bomb. I'm having this right now. It is from Stillwater, it says vegan Florida. I'm a Floridian, I've never heard of the place. But it is a, quote, Farmhouse Ale, 15th anniversary edition, and it has been brewed with wheat, and it has white sage, dry hopped Citra, Holland Blanc, and Saz hops. Frickin' phenomenal. I do like sage though, so yeah, that is a beautiful, beautiful beer and just tastes amazing. Now, well, let's give you a little back history on why I feel like it's such an underappreciated beer. First, okay, supposedly the only recordings or written information is back in the 19th century. People started brewing these usually during the winter, and about 4 to 6 months later, they were drinking them. The word farmhouse, although people say it started back then, really wasn't popularized until the 1980s when people were getting Saison Dupont imported into the US and calling it a hoppy farmhouse ale. But supposedly Saisons pretty much went off the radar during and after World War I, but were brought back, yeah, ready for this? Were brought back as a high-end type beer that was supposed to be appreciated at warm temps, kind of like a fine wine or something. And what's funny is that the original Saisons were primarily brewed with spelt. That's right, spelt, some unmalted wheat, and occasionally it had a little bit of barley. After World War I, it was primarily brewed with barley. That's where you get your Pilsner. Pilsner is a go-to for brewing a Saison or a farmhouse ale. The big thing with it is just like on an IPA, you have so many different hops and you have so many different yeasts out there that can really, really make it a very diverse type of beer. You have the same thing going on with Saison, except you're always going to look for either mild or major spices and fruit and other types of phenols and aromas and flavors going on. Another great breweries, Burial Brewing, Allagash, they both make lots of Saisons and really, really good ones, to be honest. It's usually highly carbonated. If you have the patience to do bottle carbonation, definitely is going to be better than doing it kegging. I've done some of my favorite beer, which is a raspberry ginger Saison that I loved. Brewed that for many years. Used to hate Saisons until I brewed that, and I realized I love Saisons with a hint of fruit in them. Just over the top. And common spices that were used in Saisons or farmhouse ales were peppercorns, ginger, coriander, things like that. You can put fruit in there. You can just have lots and lots of fun, and it makes great for a summer beer. If you're into a lager, but you like a little bit of something going on or some character, right here. It's an ale, it's not a lager. There is a Antwerp yeast from White Labs that gives it more lager-like characters, which means it's gonna bring down some of that aroma, some of that character that makes it a Belgian and make it a little smoother like a lager. I don't remember what the temperatures are, so it may also allow you to ferment warmer than a normal lager, which is nice since it is still an ale yeast. But like I said, fruity, spicy, dry, crisp. It should be super dry. Now, if you've ever brewed an ale or a lager super dry, a lot of times you don't get a lot of the flavors or aromas. That's not the case with the Saison. It's still got it going on because it's coming from the yeast, and it is just punching you in the face going, hey, check this out. This is cool. Now, they say that the ABV usually used to range between 4.4 and 6.8. I can tell you from what I've read, even lower than that at one time. But if you look at the current BJCP 2021 for the strong Belgian ale, which is where it falls under at 25B, it says that it can be 3.5 to 9.5, which is just stupid crazy. And the IBUs are usually between 20 and 35. The hops really should be, you don't have to color inside the lines, should be noble hops or hops that give you some spice like Saz, Styrian Goldings, things like that. But it can be Hallertau, it could be a little Magnum if just for, your bittering. It doesn't have to be crazy. You can go crazy. I mean, they had Citra in there, and that's fine. I've heard people using Galaxy in Saisons, which sounds amazing to me. Now, keep in mind, I do feel like there should be different versions of a Saison, and maybe there will be one day, but it also can range from a 5 all the way to a 22. And I think under my, and that's SRM, but under my Beersmith, I want to say it was telling me like 3 point something even. And I'm brewing this one right now, and that's why we're doing this while I'm brewing. I'm brewing a 6-gallon, you can call it a Saison, you can call it a farmhouse ale. I'm going to use this White Labs WLP4023. It is expired, so I may have to use a backup yeast. I got some backup yeasts, including some farmhouse yeast from Lulleman, so I can use that. But I'm gonna take 5 gallons, throw it in a Farmzilla all-rounder, throw a gallon over here into the Igulu, pitch 2 different yeasts, rock on, and then try them later. I'm not even gonna dry hop. I'm not gonna, most likely not gonna add any spice. Definitely not looking to do any fruit this time around. But that's a great way to try it. And if I really wanted to get crazy, sorry, I'm like itching. I'm like so sweaty and hot because of the humidity. But I could take this and do like 5 or 6 1-gallons and pitch different yeasts. I could add fruit, I could add spices, just to see the impact. I will say I've had a white pepper Saison. Yeah, that's a little too spicy. Black pepper, very good. Coriander, amazing, because coriander usually gives you hints of citrus and a little earthiness, which is really nice, and a very common flavor or aroma type spice that you would have in a Saison type beer. So, but yeah, I'm loving this. Got the white sage going on, which is, kind of one of the outside the lines. Amazing, absolutely amazing. If you haven't tried a Saison, let me know down below if you have. If you haven't, also let me know what you're brewing for the summer. Are you doing a lager? Are you doing a Saison? Doing something light, but got some character, some spice to say, hi, I'm here. Not a, what did I just have? You know what I'm talking about? Cheers, show me a little love, appreciate you. I'm gonna go enjoy this. I am drenched in here from the humidity. I gotta get my dehumidifier going again. I had to turn it off for the video because it's too dang loud. Cheers.